In this video, we will introduce the pros and cons of the current method of repaying our pension debt, as well as alternatives to consider. Similar to a home mortgage, different lengths of time can be used when repaying the UAAL, usually 20 or 30 years. For purposes of our demonstration, we will assume a 20-year period is used. Repayment methods can be broken into three categories: closed, closed layered, and open. Whether a method is closed or open simply means the debt payoff period is a set period or a constantly moving period of time. If we start repaying a pension debt beginning today, a closed period would run for the next 20 years, with the expectation that the current and any new debt would be fully repaid by the end of the 20 years. In contrast, using an open method would have us reset the payoff to a new 20-year period each year. This process essentially goes on forever, with the debt never fully being repaid. The advantages of using a closed repayment method are that the debt is extinguished by the end of the 20 years, and this method eliminates the debt the fastest and costs the least of the three repayment options. The disadvantage is that any new debt accumulated would necessarily need to be repaid in a shorter and shorter time period. Consider an example in the final year that the stock market performs poorly, and all losses must be made up in a single year of payments. The desire to avoid this volatility often results in refinancing of the remaining debt over a new 20-year period, essentially restarting the cycle. The advantages of an open repayment method are that the volatility just discussed is virtually eliminated, and the annual cost the least of all methods. However, this comes at the cost of never fully repaying the debt and the highest total cost. An alternative to these two options is a category we will call closed layered. This can be thought of as a hybrid in which the initial debt is scheduled, like in a closed method, to be paid off over a fixed period. Any changes to the expected unfunded liability are repaid on their own separate schedules. In our example, the initial unfunded liability is repaid over a 20-year closed period, and all new liability created in subsequent years is repaid on new 20-year periods. The advantages of a closed layered method is the original debt is repaid after 20 years, and all remaining debt schedules repaid within 40 years. The benefit of reducing volatility also exists, reducing the temptation to refinance the bulk of the debt. The downside is that in comparison to a closed approach, repayment takes longer. In summary, a closed method is the fastest repayment option, but can lead to refinancing the unfunded liability because of volatility. An open method is the least volatile, but the debt is never fully repaid. A closed layered method balances volatility and having a set year for reaching 100% funded status.